There is a podcast that lies between the imagination of two simple-minded earthlings. Travel with these two longtime friends, Jimbo and 80s E, as they attempt to explore the fifth dimension. Follow along with them as they take the key and unlock the door to the vast space between shadow and substance. This podcast is one of trivia, of insight, and of sounds and ideas from one of the greatest television shows ever produced. You are embarking on a timeless journey. There is your signpost up ahead. You are entering the tragedy of cinema's Twilight Zone.
Picture of the spaceship E-89, cruising above the 13th planet of Star System 51, the year 1997. In a little while, supposedly, the ship will be landed and specimens taken, vegetable, mineral, and if any animal. These will be brought back to overpopulated Earth, where technicians will evaluate them and, if everything is satisfactory, stamp their findings with the word inhabitable, and open up yet another planet for colonization. These are the things that are supposed to happen.
All right, guys, welcome back to the Tragedy of Cinema podcast, the Twilight Zone series. I'm your host, Jimbo, and today I'm joined by my friend down there in the Deep South.
Hey, this is Bond in Deep Texas.
And back from the dead, apparently, we have Rod Serling.
That's right. Good evening, guys. Good to see you.
80Z is all get up in his suit tonight, slicked back hair. I don't know what he's
looking sharp, looking very sharp.
Right, and you guys said that we had to be on video tonight. We were going to be taping, so I had to look my best for this episode.
He says he looks his best here. Me and you are with the Elvis wig and your little beanie with the spinner on last week.
I was going to say, let me get my beanie hat.
Yeah, maybe we should start this as a tradition, you know? We just dress up every week in something different. That'll kind of liven up the podcast.
Keep people guessing, that's for sure.
Yeah. Well, guys, are you ready to shove off on Death Ship tonight in the Twilight Zone?
Let's do it.
All right.
There's some mixed feelings on this one, so this will be another fun-filled episode.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how we come out on this one. So let's go ahead and dive right in. Death Ship. This is the Twilight Zone season number 4. It's episode number 6. And this particular episode comes in, we'll see where we shake out, but IMDb rates it a 7.6. And the original air date for this episode was February the 7th, 1963. And the total production costs for this episode were $125,476.44. So we just keep pushing that boundary higher and higher. These episodes get more and more expensive as we go along in season 4. So a little bit about, let's talk about who it was directed by and who it was written by. So this one was written by Richard Matheson. So Jimbo will like that because he doesn't like the episodes that Rod authors.
Correct.
Directed by Don Medford. I think we've seen Don Medford a couple of times so far in the first 4 seasons. Let me give you a little bit of info as it regards dates of rehearsal and dates of filming. So dates of rehearsal were August 23rd, 1962. And I guess they only had one day for rehearsal. It consisted with the 3 leads, the 3 main characters, and the rehearsals were only conducted for the scenes inside the spaceship cabin, since most of the story took place inside the cabin of the spaceship, if you're familiar with the episode. And on the evening of the 5th day of filming, yes, on August the 30th, the exterior of the Carter home was shot. That futuristic home in the episode that looks like straight out of science fiction. That was on August the 30th. The dates of filming, I'll go ahead and give those small little detail here. It's August 24th, 27th, 28th, 29th, 30th, and 31st of 1962. So along with the accelerated budget, we have many more days of filming as well. So that's kind of the running theme in season 4, right? Because the 30-minute episodes, they might film 3 days at most, maybe 4. So we're in 5, 6, and 7 days of filming for these hour-long episodes. And
Yeah, they cost twice as much and they take twice as long to record. So it all comes
exactly.
about even.
So, as it regards to February 7th, 1963, let's do a little this day in history and find out what happened on February the 7th as it pertains going all the way back into the annals of history in our favorite segment we like to call
On This Day in History.
All right, you guys ready?
Bring it.
All right. Let's start with birthdays. We'll go out of order here. So on February the 7th, 1804, the famous John Deere of John Deere Tractors was born, and he died in 1886. He was an American blacksmith and manufacturer, who founded Deere and Company. He was born in Rutland, Vermont. Nothing runs like a deer. Either of you guys own any Deere products?
No, but maybe might have used John Deere Green once or twice.
Oh, the paint?
A water tower.
Oh yeah, the song. Yeah. This guy's kind of famous. My next birthday. He was born February 7th, 1812. This was English writer of Oliver Twist, A Tale of Two Cities, A Christmas Carol. It was born in Portsmouth, Hampshire, and his name was Charles Dickens. Mm-hmm. Born in 1812 and died 1870. What do you guys, what's your favorite work of Charles Dickens? What would you say?
My favorite is, I would have to say A Christmas Carol.
As I say, you can't go wrong with A Christmas Carol.
Yeah, that's probably a consensus among that one. I mean, Oliver Twist, I think I may have read.
May I have another?
Yeah, I may have read the book, some of it, but
Was he at Tale of Two Cities too?
Yeah.
Yes, he was.
The best of times.
That's right.
It was the worst of times.
That might be War and Peace now that I'm thinking about it.
Yeah.
That's Tale of Two Cities.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, you got it right.
February 7th, 1867, as we're moving along. American author of Little House on the Prairie, born in Pepin, Wisconsin. You guys know who this is?
I sure do, man. You're talking about Laura Ingalls.
Ding, 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 ding. Laura Ingalls Wilder. She was born in 1867 and died 1957. So 90 years.
That's pretty good.
All right. February 7th, 1962, American country singer of No Fences, Friends in Low Places. He was born in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and he's 64 years old. Guys got to guess.
Legendary Garth Brooks.
Garth Brooks,
That's right.
man.
Let me take this time to plug the Dark Discoveries podcast, and you can hear Jimbo and Dustin
Garth
duke it
Brooks,
out.
a serial killer.
Is he a serial killer? So check that episode out.
Did you listen to that one, Eric?
I did not. I listened to the.
Plugging something you ain't even heard.
Well, I'm not. I'm getting to it. The reason why.
Spoiling it, you got to listen to the
you're
episode.
listening to the whole catalog. Is that what you're doing?
Well, I'm working my way. I happened to check out the Burger Chef
Oh, okay.
murders because that's local to my hometown. Not maybe five
Not
minutes
too far from where you grew up.
5 minutes from where I live currently.
Right.
So you guys duked it out on that one. You were trying to convince one another of your theories on that episode. So anyway, check out
a lot of fun.
Yeah, check out Dark Discoveries if you want to know if Garth Brooks is a serial killer. That is interesting, by the way. I do know a little bit about how his tour dates all line up with prevalent murders in the area, right?
And his alter ego of Chris Gaines.
Yeah. Check that
I'm not
out.
saying he is because I don't want to be sued.
All right, and finally for birthdays, February 7th, 1965, American Grammy and Emmy, award-winning comedian of SNL, one Chris Rock. He is 61 years young.
You know, it's crazy. You know, you come to these birthdays and a lot of the people you grew up with, man, they're in their 60s and 70s now. That's kind of sad, man.
We're all getting up there.
I mean, Eric's already in his 50s. I mean,
Wow.
well, close, right?
Not yet.
This is the year.
Yeah.
This is the year he turns 50. All right.
Yeah.
Special celebration episode coming up.
That's
He just
right.
wants to hit 55 to get that discount. You know, he's all about that discount when he goes to give me that senior discount.
Oh.
Give me that discount senior menu.
I will take full advantage of the senior discount. Let's talk about a little film, TV, music, and sports trivia from this day, and then we'll launch into our episode. I'll just cherry pick a few good ones. February the 7th, 1914, Charlie Chaplin debuts with his famous film character, the Tramp. And I believe the first movie was entitled Kid Auto Races at Venice. So, and here's one I think that we've used before in our trivia, but it's still a pretty big deal. February 7th, 1940, Walt Disney's second feature-length film entitled Pinocchio. It premiered in New York City. February the 7th, 1944, Bing Crosby records Swinging on a Star from Decca Records, and it won the best original song. It won the award that year.
Is that the Would You Like to Swing on a Star?
Carry moonbeams home in a jar.
There he goes. And he's off.
And be better off than you are.
Or would you
rather be a fish?
I wish I were a fish. Tying that into our latest episode of The Incredible Mr. Limpet.
Yeah, that was great.
Did you ever see The Incredible Mr. Limpet, Eric?
No, but you guys are doing a podcast on it. I guess I need to watch it. I may have
check it out.
May have seen it as a kid. I don't remember. February 7th. Well, let's see, what year is this? 1949. Joe DiMaggio becomes the first $100,000 a year baseball player. And that was 1949. And this is my last one, and this is for Jimbo. February the 7th, 1974, Mel Brooks, his Western spoof film entitled Blazing Saddles. Starring Cleavon Little
Wilder.
And Gene Wilder, premieres at Pickwick Drive in Burbank, California. And
are you a fan of Blazing Saddles, Eric? Have you seen it?
Yes, I've seen it many times. I can't even keep count probably how many times I've seen that one.
What about you, Bond? Are you a fan of Blazing Saddles?
Oh, I love Blazing Saddles, man.
I pretty much love everything Mel Brooks has been in, but I really love Gene Wilder. He's one of my favorites.
Yeah, it's good stuff. All right, and that concludes this day in history. Let's why don't we let Bond jump in here, and if he would be so kind as to give us the cast for this Twilight Zone entitled Death Ship.
Yeah, episode 6, season 4, Death Ship. And you'll recognize the captain right away. Captain Paul Ross is played by Jack Klugman. He's from TV's The Odd Couple. He's in the movie 12 Angry Men. He was in 4 episodes of The Twilight Zone, but I think the one he really sticks out as being in is The Game of Pool, which I think that one sticks out as a Jack Klugman episode.
Now I'm going to jump in right here. I want to ask you guys a question. I think I posed this question to you guys in the group chat. Do you think William Shatner would have been a better ship's captain for this episode?
Yes.
Yeah.
No.
I got one yes and one no.
No.
What if they flopped roles and Jack Klugman did Nightmare at 20,000 feet or whatever? I don't know. I could see.
I'm not a Jack Klugman fan. I wish he wasn't in any Twilight Zone. How about that?
I think he would have done well at the 20,000 feet one.
Who, Klugman?
Yeah, he would have been fine.
Crazy.
And what do we really need to see Shatner in a spaceship as a captain? Who's going to believe that?
Good point. I was just curious of what your guys' thoughts were, since this is kind of like the forerunning of Shatner's Star Trek. So I was just curious.
That's a good question. Good question. You're looking at Ross Martin as Lieutenant Ted Mason. He was on TV's Wild Wild West for 95 episodes.
Wow.
I was going to say 95 years.
For 95 years.
He never quit.
No matter how much they begged, he would not leave. It also stars Fred Beer as Lieutenant Mike Carter. He was on a lot of TV roles during the 60s and 70s. But if you look at his TVography and his filmography, he was in every TV show in the 70s once. Like he was just that one-time role.
Wow.
He was like always on like one episode of Mary Tyler Moore Show, one episode of Gilligan's Island, one episode of if it ran in the 60s and 70s,
right.
He was on one episode of it.
Ain't no shame in his game.
I admire that guy. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that at all. Let's see. We have Mary Webster, who plays one of the only female roles in this one. Plays Ruth Mason, Lieutenant Mason's wife. She also had lots of TV roles, but she only acted for 8 years. She just stopped acting altogether. So this premiered in, what did you say, 1963?
That's correct.
Yeah, she was done acting by the end of the 60s. And she moved to Dallas. And that was the end of her acting career. She was also in another Twilight Zone episode called Passage for Trumpet. I'm not familiar with that one.
I believe that was in
called?
season
That's the
one.
one with
I believe. Well, Jack Klugman was also in Passage for Trumpet.
was in it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'd have to go back and do some research to find that one. We also have Ross Elliott as Kramer. Ross Kramer was in the famous radio transmission of War of the Worlds. He was a voice on War of the Worlds. And he was also in the movie Towering Inferno. And that's your cast for this episode of The Twilight Zone.
All right. Some.
Would you like a synopsis there, Eric?
Please give us the synopsis. I was just about to ask you if you had one.
Oh, I do.
Thank you, sir.
3 astronauts, Captain Ross, Lieutenant Mason, and Lieutenant Carter, are traveling in a spacecraft on a routine exploration mission when they detect what appears to be their own ship wrecked on the surface of a distant planet. Confused but compelled to investigate, they land and discover the shattered remains of their vessel with 3 dead bodies inside. The bodies are unmistakably their own. Mason and Carter are shaken and begin to believe that they somehow died in a crash and are now existing in some kind of afterlife or limbo. Captain Ross, however, refuses to accept that possibility. A rigid realist and a man of command, he insists that there must be a logical explanation and orders them back into orbit. But no matter how many times they attempt to leave, they return to the same planet and the same wrecked ship with their corpses inside. As tensions rise, it becomes clear that Mason and Carter are ready to accept the truth. They died in a crash, and what they are experiencing is a purgatorial loop born of denial. Ross's inability to accept death traps them all in an endless cycle, forced to relive the discovery over and over again.
Oh, I'm already interested. So I think for an overlay, I may have put this in the group chat too. You kind of have to look at this episode from the Flying Dutchman story perspective. And so, like the Flying Dutchman, I have it here, just like a synopsis of it. It's in most versions of the legend, the Dutch captain often named I'm not even going to attempt this. Van der Decken, I think is the captain's name. He defies warnings of a violent storm, and he swears he's gonna sail around the Cape, even if it takes an eternity. His blasphemous pride results in a curse, and he and his crew must sail forever in the original story. I think it goes like all the way back to like the 1600s. And they never actually make it to port, and that's kind of the overall theme of the Flying Dutchman. So just kind of have that maybe in the back of your mind. I think they kind of use that as like a foundation for this episode when Richard Matheson, wrote this episode. Let's talk about the first act, though. The mission in deep space. And let's talk about the wreck. That's the first thing that happens. The space cruiser E-89, commanded by Captain Paul Ross and crewed by Lieutenant Ted Mason and Lieutenant Mike Carter, they orbit an uncharted planet. And their objective is to determine whether it is suitable for colonization. Does anything stick out as cool or interesting in the first few moments of the episode to you guys?
Yeah, this was my favorite part of the episode.
Really?
Yeah, this is my favorite part. The idea of them traveling, and when they first get there, they like detect a blip on the radar type thing. They see something shining. They're going to go check it out. This was the best part of the episode for me.
Yeah.
I want to just say, how do you like the I guess the chairs they get in? Right? It's
yeah.
full body
definitely.
mold. hey, we're going down. And they all
That's
strap themselves in it.
yeah, that's my prop piece.
Hey, Mason, I think that you're in my chair. How can you tell?
My butt don't fit.
Exactly. This doesn't feel right.
Yeah, it's like at work at my job. Like sometimes when people pack things, really expensive things, they have like that foam that they shoot in, and then when it hardens, it's like it's an outline
spray
of the
foam.
the
Protective
spray foam
foam,
type
yeah.
stuff. That's like an outline of the object that they're trying to ship. That's kind of what these chairs look like. They're molded to their bodies. They don't look very
was so
secure.
fast.
They don't look very secure when they're like moving around, but
I didn't see a seat belt, but I guess you don't need one if the chair's molded to your body.
one. They have one. Remember, they say strap in, and they
Oh, strap in.
it just goes around their waist.
you don't need a seatbelt in 1997, baby.
Exactly.
That is crazy, though, that they thought 1997 was just so far into the future that this stuff was actually plausible.
In the future, we'll all have chairs molded to our body. We'll just have to lay back.
Right.
Well, it's kind of like a racing chair, like a race car. Don't they get fitted for their race cars?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they do.
Yeah,
Not to that extent.
Yeah.
even more extent.
Well, they bolster you in, that's for sure, in a race car. I know that for a fact. But let's talk about that strange reflection that Bond brought up. So Mason, he notices a metallic glint on the planet's surface, and he speculates about alien life. And Ross is skeptical but methodical, and he orders a landing in order to investigate. And the next part we come to is like this impossible recovery. They find a wrecked spacecraft. It is identical to the E-89. Inside the wreck lies 3 dead bodies, exact replicas of Ross, Mason, and Carter. And Mason and Carter are really shaken. And Ross forces, he's constantly, he'll hear this throughout the episode, he's constantly forcing, there must be a reason, there must be a rational explanation for this, and everything that they encounter. So they kind of get a glimpse of their own future. And moving along, so they have like their first decision. Ross concludes that they must avoid takeoff to prevent fulfilling their future from coming to pass. So communication is blocked by atmospheric interference, and freezing night temperatures threaten their survival. You'll hear either Mason or one of the guys say, like, we only have enough battery to last us so many hours, so we have to conserve our battery on the ship or we'll freeze to death. And Mason and Carter, they argue over whether to leave or not. But Ross, again, overrules them. So then we come to like one of the main highlighted scenes in the first part of the episode, right? So they discover their own bodies inside the wrecked duplicate of the E-89 spaceship. So that's kind of like the big build-up, right?
But I like the idea of it's very short-term thinking, but I like the idea of them saying, you know what? If we never take off, we'll never crash.
Yeah, it's pretty.
We can't crash, land, and die if we just stay here. It's very short-term, logic, but
I mean,
it makes sense.
It does.
If they can like radio for help, and somebody comes to pick them up, then they'll never take off in that ship again, and they won't fulfill the prophecy of them crashing.
Yeah, you can't argue with their logic.
Once again, yeah, it's very short-term logic because, like you're saying, battery life and freezing on the planet, and we can't stay here in the ship forever.
So in Act 2, they have visions of home. Carter's experience. Carter suddenly finds himself back on Earth, right? They each have like a dream sequence, and they are walking a familiar country road, and he encounters loved ones from the past, his former home, and he finds a telegram informing his wife that he has died in the line of duty. So Ross pulls him back to the ship, and Carter realizes that the people he saw were already dead, and Ross insists that it was a stress-induced hallucination. And then we have another setup of a reunion, Mason's reunion with his daughter and wife, and they're like at a picnic, and his daughter's looking for him.
You know, this is the moment I fell in love with this episode.
Tell us why.
If you watch the expression on his face when that little girl comes around the bushes, you know she's been dead for a long time. And just to see him break down the way he did, and and he just couldn't believe it, and he just hugs on her and grabs her, and because she was like, I thought I'd never find you. You stop thinking, okay, so let me go ahead and ask you this. Okay, so this is the point where I believe that he realizes, I don't want to go back up in the air. I want to stay here. If I'm dead, this is where I'm meant to be with my family. I mean, how selfish, like of the captain, especially, to pull that away from that man that has just been reunited with his family. How long have they been dead? We don't know. But I'll ask all three of you. If one of us were dead and you found some of your family members that you haven't seen, like Bond, your mom, Eric, your grandparents, me, my grandparents, and how selfish would it be that you would just want to stay there and not go back up and keep, up outer space or whatever? You would want to stay there just like this guy did. And I found something I'd like to read right here about the filming of this scene. Maybe this is why it came across so good. So at the time, Martin was separated from his own daughter, who was with his first wife in New York. In 1979, he recalled how he prepared for this scene. I had found that certain personal things with regard to my own daughter motivated me or drive me or move me. Years ago, I was in a class taught by Marty Ritt, who is now a brilliant director, and one of the exercises we had was to move a distance of something like 18 feet in 3 steps and sit in a chair. I mean, just move 3 steps and you're sitting in the chair. And I said, it just can't be done. He said, give yourself something that'll make you do that. So I pictured my daughter under certain circumstances. Now, it's horrible to me even now as I mention it, but the truth is that I pictured her at a window inside a burning building calling to me in near panic, Daddy, Daddy, and I took those steps. It was effortless to stride the length of a man's body. It was almost as though I had been shot out of a cannon, but that was because that was meaningful to me. And I used similar circumstances involving my own daughter in my mind in preparations for that scene. So when I turned and saw her, my heart just broke. The joy of seeing her.
Yeah, you can really tell from the scene. It's really well acted. I will say that reunion scene with his daughter and then his wife.
Did all three of them have to agree to stay or go?
Well,
why couldn't he just stay?
Because he was the commanding officer, and it was his job to ensure the safety of his crew. Because he says, I am the commanding officer. We are going up. We are good. And then it's also his job when they decide to crash back or land back down, right?
You're talking about Klugman's character, right? Not the lieutenant. I don't remember if it's Mason or Carter in this particular scene, but
right, because remember he shakes him. He says, "Look, none of this is real. There has to be a logical explanation."
So you think
like, your daughter wasn't there no more than those bodies over there are us or whatever. And the same way with the other guy that saw, what was it? He went to go see he saw his 2 neighbors, right? The one lady walking down the street, and then his hunting friend or fishing friend or whatever it was. Right. And he's like, look, those people were no more real than those people over there that are supposedly us. He's like, I don't understand it, but that's the explanation. That's the best I got right now.
So do you think your assertion is that Captain Paul Ross, he's like the Flying Dutchman because he's the captain. He sort of exerts his will over the other 2.
Exactly.
And he keeps them inside of his own reality. And they can't go off and be with their deceased family, right?
Because if they go off, then it obviously means that he's dead too, correct?
And he doesn't want to admit that.
And I think that's why that we never see a flashback, flash sideways, whatever you want to call it, of his character.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Got it. To the question of, I think it would be very difficult to, you asked a question earlier. I know a lot of people who have near-death experiences and they see their relatives and they see the light, that's kind of their testimony, whether they have medical condition or they're, on their deathbed. And then they're like upset and many times weeping when they come back to life here on Earth because they have seen their family. So to answer the question, I think it would be very difficult to see loved ones in the beyond and then want to come back to Earth and be like, you have to wait longer, after being reunited with them. I don't know. Bond, what do you think?
Yeah, something to that extent. I mean, you'd want to stay, you'd want to visit, but you also hopefully have loved ones here on Earth too that need you and want you and love you. So you'd be torn between these two existences, these two worlds.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I think overall you'd have to come back knowing that, they're waiting for you. Your loved ones are waiting for you, be it in heaven or whatever you happen to believe in.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a matter of time. You're like, okay, they'll be okay. I'll see them again soon.
Right. Well, I want to back up a little bit because we may have missed some of the confusion earlier. We might have missed the first vision of Carter's experience. Carter was the one, as Jimbo described, walking down the path, and then he runs into a friend, and then he runs into an older lady, and then it starts to click that both of them have died and gone into the beyond. The futuristic house, that kind of stuck out for me. I thought that was really pretty cool, like his house and how it looked and everything. It was really well done, I thought, for a 1960s mindset. I think I have in my trivia somewhere that it was like on display at Disneyland, that particular house, because obviously it was a futuristic mindset.
Oh yeah, like in Futureland or whatever.
Right. I think you're right. In Futureland and Disneyland or Disney World, I forget which one. I have it in my notes somewhere, but I thought that was pretty cool. So in the midst of all of that, after we have our visions and our flashbacks, we have another theory, right? A new theory emerges because Carter cannot, as we discussed earlier, he cannot give up on the idea. He has to figure out why how he can stay alive, or the fact that he is dead. He can't admit that to himself. So the new theory is he revises it. Carter says, telepathic aliens must be projecting illusions into our minds to prevent the crew from reporting back and enabling colonization. So that's his newest theory. And the solution now, whereas before they said they couldn't leave orbit, as Bond talked about earlier, like their logic is, well, if we don't leave, then we can't die. Now he says the solution is to leave orbit and to break the spell, and they lift off. And Act 2 ends with doubt growing, and Ross he's clinging to this control. And then that brings us to Act 3. After they lift off, they return back to the surface. And this is kind of the final reset. And what happens here once they lift off and they come back? Do you guys remember what happens?
Isn't that like where the fight breaks out?
Yeah, it does.
Well, they get up in the air, right?
Right, and then
that's where the captain's like, "Well, we're going back down,"
and they're all like, "What? Like, why? We literally got free of the orbit of the planet or whatever."
And the influence of these aliens that we never see.
Exactly. And then they start to descend, and that's when the fight takes place. But I thought a really cool part when they touched down back on the planet was the windows slide down, right? And there's like, nope, no spaceship. And he goes around the entire, and then that final window goes down. They're like, oh, their hearts sink.
Like, well, are you sure we're facing the same way?
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's look out the other window.
Now let's throw a hypothetical there. Do you think if they never would have went back down that they would have been dead?
I don't know.
Or
do you think it's just part of the cycle? So you ever heard about a lady, Eric, we'll take the haunted bridge in Avon. A deaf lady's walking along the train trestle and with her baby crying, and she doesn't hear the train coming, and the baby falls in the creek and drowns and kills the wife, right? So, but she supposedly walks that bridge every night doing the same repetition and repetition. I mean, you see that with a lot of different ghost stories or whatever. Do you think that is just part of the repetition of their story, that they always go up and they always have this argument and then they always come down and they try to go off again and they crash?
Yeah, I mean that's a good question. Like, I don't know. Are they
stuck in some sort
are
of
they
endless loop?
Right, exactly. Are they stuck in the loop, or are they? At what
Is
point?
that part of the loop is what I'm asking.
Right. Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, of
That's a
course it
good.
is.
That's a good theory. Yeah, I think so. And again, I just go back to this idea that Ross exerts some kind of force on the other two, and he keeps them in this loop, like the Flying Dutchman, because he's so brash. And like in that story in the 1600s, the Flying Dutchman says, "We're just going to keep sailing into eternity. I'm not going to ever give up." And that's kind of the same feeling. But after they return to the surface and they realize, like everyone realized except Carter, that they're dead, and this is their explanation. I got another clip here. Let's see if I can cue this up.
It was us in there. We're dead.
Imagine what it was like when this thing hit. Can you imagine?
Well, our ship is where we left it, just as we left it. That isn't our ship. Those aren't our bodies.
Imagine what it was
But
like.
they are.
No. I don't know what it is, but there's a logical explanation for this. Everything has a logical explanation. This is me.
Imagine.
This is you. Listen,
Imagine what it was
use
like.
your head. It's not what it seems.
What is it? What is it?
I don't know, but think. Mason,
Yes, sir.
we're leaving. We're going back to the ship. Radio the station. They'll tell us what to do.
Yes, sir.
And then I think this is the reset part of the episode where we come back to the original opening scene, right? And they're all on the deck of the spaceship, and they just repeat the loop, right? They see the glint on the radar, and it all happens all over again. And that brings us to the end of the episode. Any of you guys got any closing comments or trivia or anything you guys want to throw in? Things you liked? No?
Like I said, my favorite part of this episode was the first 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Really? By
Maybe
the way
the
you're
first.
talking,
I would
thought
stretch
it'd
it to
be-
the first 5 minutes.
The way you're talking, I thought it'd be the credits.
No. The first 5 minutes of it are great. When they discover the crashed spaceship, when they first discover that, oh no, the bodies are us.
Right.
Bodies are us. That's a nice place. When they first notice the bodies are them, and it's like, oh no, that can't be. No, it is. Look, check the ID, and they check their ID is or whatever. To me, that's my favorite part of the episode. The episode just goes downhill from there, but it has a great beginning, great possibilities.
Right.
I think Rod probably has he might have bought the rights to Forbidden Planet because he sure uses a lot of Forbidden Planet props over and over and over again.
Yeah, and that's in a lot of the trivia as well. And I'll just give you a few points. So, of the three main characters, or three main actors, if you will, Jack Klugman, Captain Ross, was the only one who lived to see the actual year of 1997. The story proposes that in 1997 is the year that the spaceship is being sent from an overpopulated Earth to find planets suitable for colonization. A similar notion was later used as one of the main premises for Lost in Space in 1965, a series that starred many Twilight Zone alumni, so there's a connection there. Here's that information about the home. The home featured around the 27-minute mark with a futuristic bubble car, which I didn't really see that. I have to go back and watch that again. There's like a bubble car. I wonder if it's the same one that was used in another episode, the Rip Van Winkle episode, where the two older
with the
couple,
gold.
they pull up
Yeah.
and there's a big glass bubble in the car. So that particular place was similar to the Monsanto House of the Future that was in Disney. It was actually in Disneyland at the time. As Jimbo said, this episode also makes use of a number of props left over from the 1956 motion picture Forbidden Planet. And by the way, those props are scattered all throughout the entire series of the Twilight Zone. Just FYI, the spaceship E-89 is the same as the United States planet cruiser C-57D from the movie, and the space uniforms are used in this episode. They're the same production that was worn by the crew members in the Forbidden Planet movie. A number of science fiction fans would notice the similarity between the story of Bradbury's short story Mars is Heaven. So I don't know if anybody out there is familiar with that particular work by Bradbury. Matheson himself would later adapt an adaptation for the film ministry's The Martian Chronicles. I guess that might have been like a film mini-series. When asked about this, Matheson told the author, Matthew R. Bradley, everyone did a story about Martians being defenseless and using mental means to get their invaders put away at the time, but there were no aliens in Death's ship. So I guess that was kind of like a trope that was used, like that Martians could influence your mind back in the early days of science fiction. And so that's why he kind of inserted it. But actually, there were no Martians on the screen that were depicted. And that pretty much ends the trivia. There's not a whole lot, but there is a few interesting things. So in conclusion, there are a lot of similarities again to The Flying Dutchman. There's the Cursed Captain, the Eternal Wandering, and then number 3, the crew's fate. The crew shares the same fate and the same curse of the captain, regardless of their own wishes. And they're basically just collateral damage due to the captain's stubbornness. So that brings us to the end. I don't have much more trivia. I'll give you guys this opportunity to give your thoughts, feelings, prop pieces, ratings, all that stuff.
Go ahead, Bond. I'll let you start.
All right. Well, I mean, talking through it with you guys has helped me a little bit. Help me understand the episode a little bit more. Help me maybe dip into the philosophical and the deeper meanings of this episode. So that kind of helped a little bit. I thought that most of this episode was kind of boring. The props were very simple. The ship was simple. There was not much to this episode where I could like sink my teeth into it. Nothing in this episode made me think beyond the episode. I mean, talking over the last 30 minutes or so with you guys helped a lot because it helps me kind of get into it a little bit more. But to me, there just wasn't much there in this one. I mean, I knew that they were dead and that, I mean, I pretty much knew the twist of the plot, whatever you want to call it, in the first 5 minutes of the episode. They see themselves and I'm like, oh, they're dead. I wonder when they're going to realize it. You know
They're dead. The end.
Yeah, I was like, okay, well, let's go visit this guy's dead loved ones. Yep, he's dead. Oh yeah, let's go visit this guy's dead loved ones.
Right.
Yep, there's his family. He's dead too. So there was nothing, and then they're like, oh well, maybe there's this alien population on this planet that is trying to mentally convince us to leave because it's all, I don't know, it's just too much for me, man.
Fair enough.
I really didn't like this episode. I was very disappointed in it. I'm going to give it a 6, maybe a 6. I mean, it's not bad. I mean, it's Twilight Zone. Come on, it's fun. And the actor, I thought the acting was pretty good in this one. I didn't have a problem with anybody into the acting, so there was none of those kind of struggles.
Bond, where do you think it ranks in season 4 so far out of the 6 episodes?
Out of the 6 episodes we've seen, 5th?
Just curious.
Yeah, I think I'd put it 5th.
All right.
Really near the bottom. I think there's a lot better episodes than this one. The one with the ship, the submarine or whatever, you hear like the bong, 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 the bell.
Like that one
That
better?
was pretty bad.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
That one is pretty bad, but this
Yeah.
one right here, not much better. I'm going to take home I guess one of the IDs, you know, when they look at the dead bodies and they're like, oh, that's me. And they have like Lieutenant Mason's ID or whatever.
Yeah.
I'll take one of those, just something I can put in my wallet.
All right. Jimbo, you want me to go?
Go ahead.
Okay. I'll let you have the last word. I thought, I'm going to take a little bit of a different approach. I like the loop. I like the eternal prison nature of space prison, if you want to characterize it that way. It probably is a theme that's played over and over in other stories all throughout history, going all the way back to the Flying Dutchman. I don't know why I'm stuck on this, but I really just wish I could go back in time and just have William Shatner read for this episode and see how much it would have changed, just because we know the nature of his over the top acting and how it would fit so great in this episode. I don't know why I'm stuck on that, but I think it would have made it better. I don't have a problem with Jack Klugman. As Bond said, I think the acting was pretty well done, especially those dream sequence scenes, if you will, which, by the way, I guess Matheson, I was reading somewhere that wasn't part of the original story that he wrote, that he had to add those sequences in to make it time worthy, to make up, up to the 60-minute time marker, which one of the two, both of them, the first one I didn't think was great with the futuristic house. It was okay, but I thought the best one obviously was I forget the character's name, but him with his daughter and was with his wife. That really pulls on your heartstrings in that episode, part of the episode, and it gets you emotionally tied to it. And then just knowing the background of how the actor got to that point and how he, performed his lines and everything, I thought that was kind of interesting. And I don't want to go off on a big, long tangent trail, but I say it's at least a 7, maybe. I'll rate it even as high as IMDb gave it. I think it's probably one of the better episodes in the season 4 so far. That's just my opinion. I could see Bond's point, though, how it could be boring. And I think that's just due to the nature of the loop of the story of the episode, right? You're in this constant. And then it did get a little weary when Captain Ross is constantly saying, like, oh, there's got to be a reason. There has to be a logical explanation. When he says that like 10 times, you're like, all right, man, just like give up. Like, you're wrong. The other guys are right. So that does get a little long in the tooth. I agree with you there. But I give it a 7. I thought it was well acted. And I think I stated my prop piece early. I want those molded body chairs for my office. So, Jimbo?
All right. I really like this episode. I think it's one of the better ones that we've had in season 4 so far. Now, I do believe that this could have worked as a half-hour episode. You could have cut a lot of trimming off of this and made it a half-hour episode. The only thing I would have changed in the episode is that when they go up and Klugman tells them that, oh, we're going back down, I wish they would have been like fighting over the controls and hit the controls, and that's how the spaceship crashed. Right. I think that would have been a better,
that's what I was expecting.
Instead of them just going down that way, oh, by the way, you don't want to do this? Well, guess what? We're crashing. And, that could have kept the loop going. Then you could have went back to them up there with that first thing. Hey, there's a blip on the radar. Right. So it would have came full circle. I think that would have been a better ending, tying up the story. I mean, the acting is phenomenal, especially the guy with the little girl. I mean, I keep coming back to that and harping on it, but man, that just pulled on my I was just an okay episode up to that point because I wasn't really interested in what was going on. I mean, I was, but I wasn't. You knew what was happening. Well, how are they dead? How are they going to get out of this? Blah, blah, blah. And then when you start having the flashbacks, I mean, even the one where the guy goes home, races home to see his wife, and he sees the gloves, and he sees the note, which is going to be my prop piece, the note that says, "Dear Mrs. So-and-so, your husband's dead." But yeah, I think right around a 7.5 is probably right where this episode fits. Now, there could have been a lot of stuff done better. I'm not a big fan of Jack Klugman. I didn't like him in the Passage for Trumpet or anyone that he's been in. But I don't know if I'd go as far as saying Shatner being as I'd rather have just another no-name guy acting as the pilot. I think that would have been a lot better. I have no quarrels with this episode. I think it was really well done. Yeah. And I don't even know the Flying Dutchman story. So
what do you guys,
how intrigued I was.
Did you guys like just roll one last slip in here? Like during the dream sequences or whatever you want to call them, did you like how they had the camera and the callback when, the captain would say their name and then all of a sudden they're snapped back into reality? I thought that was a cool, cool
nice
trick.
Little special.
Yeah, just a little insert there, but
yeah, so it wasn't bad.
All right, you guys want a preview of next week's episode?
Bond just hasn't got a lot of sleep lately.
I haven't got a lot of sleep, man. I've been coaching basketball, coaching basketball on the side.
He's been getting on his students for getting on the Tragedy of Cinema on YouTube, Eric.
Yeah, I had a student yesterday in class get on YouTube and look at the Tragedy of Cinema, and they're not allowed to be on YouTube at school, so I had to get on to that kid too. And
but he told you to
there's a conflict of interest there. I was torn. I said, "Hey, you're not allowed to see. You're not allowed to watch that at school. So save that tab, keep it open."
Yeah, look us up at home. Yeah, that's a conflict there.
Of course, the other kids in class are saying, "Mr. Bond, what is he doing? He's on the Tragedy of Cinema."
That he's not supposed to be allowed out of school. But if you want to save this bookmark, it's www.
Exactly. So,
all right. Well, Mr. Unknown student, who is the student of Bond,
we salute you.
We do salute you. And here's a little, if you're listening right now, here's a little preview of next week's episode entitled Jess Bell.
Hopefully not during class, though.
Yeah, don't do it in class. Don't get in trouble.
Next, we delve into the realm of American folklore. And through the offices of a fine writer named Earl Hamner, Jr., we peruse a little witchcraft and bring you a story called Jess Bell. This exercise in terror and talisman stars Anne Francis and James Best.
Form a ring, circle right with a pretty little thing. Now break that ring with a corner swing. Go back home, do-sa-do.
I never seen no cat with spots like that. A witch. That cat was a witch.
That cat was a witch.
They say this is one of the worst episodes of all time, but we'll find out.
I'm already excited about it. What are you talking about?
Hey,
the cat was a witch.
Speaking of Forbidden Planet, there's old Anne Francis, right? She was in Forbidden Planet.
Yep.
There you go.
In Jess Bell. So stay tuned as we roll out the next episode of the Twilight Zone. Jimbo, you want to shut us down?
Where can they reach us on the social medias?
Hey, they can go to the tragedy of cinema at gmail.com. I always get that wrong. I don't know why. The tragedy of cinema at gmail.com if they want to reach us. Of course, we're available on Facebook, and the Facebook posts are actually kind of funny sometimes, so definitely check us out. It'll also give you like the latest and greatest entertainment news. Jimbo's really good about posting when someone we love, an actor or actress, has passed away. There's been a lot lately, guys, and it just seems like every week we lose somebody we love, somebody we know from TV or movies. And like you said, Jimbo, at the beginning of the episode, we're getting at that age now where, the people we grew up watching are just getting older.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but reach out to us. Watch this episode.
After school hours, reach out to us, yeah.
No, reach out to us anytime you'd like. I think this episode's a 6. They're saying 7.5, so there seems to be a little gap there. Let us know what you think.
And I don't want to say anything, but to any of Bond students listening, if you email us at thetragedyofcinema@gmail.com, the first one of Bond students that sneaks in and listens to this, Bond will get you a Tragedy of Cinema t-shirt.
That's true.
You see what I did there?
There you go.
Yeah, size small.
So, and just put your name, say, I am so-and-so. Bond is my teacher. He's the best teacher in the world.
So they have to lie and they have to say.
But I mean, that's why we do this podcast, because we want it to be where parents can trust their kids to listen to us and have something that kids can look forward to, right? We don't want it to be all about, blood and guts and profanity. Now, we do cover some of that. And we put a disclaimer in there when that happens. So parents, be careful when you let your kids listen to those episodes. But for the most part, Twilight Zones
are all good.
Roger Rabbit, stuff like that. We try to keep it very kid friendly because we want it to be a family podcast that you can listen with anybody around or in your car. But with that being said, I think this episode's coming to a close. And Eric,
that's a wrap.
And
cut.
Captain.
something glittered down there. Is it 255-417?
I don't see anything.
Picture of a man who will not see anything he does not choose to see, including his own death. A man of such indomitable will that even the two men beneath his command are not allowed to see the truth. Which truth is that they are no longer among the living. That the movements they make and the words they speak have all been made and spoken countless times before, and will be made and spoken countless times again, perhaps even unto eternity. Picture of a latter-day Flying Dutchman sailing into the Twilight Zone.